Our friends at Disney sent me a couple of 4K Blu-rays to review. One of them is the 1992 classic animated Aladdin, and one of them is the 2019 live-action Aladdin. And my thought originally was I'm going to review both of these Blu-rays and go through everything and tell you how I feel about seeing these movies again. But I only had time to watch the animated movie because there's so much extra content. I watched the film again in 4K on my OLED television, stereo cranked, and oh my God, is it glorious. Unbelievable. The clarity, the line work, the color pop. I'd never seen this movie look so beautiful. I mean, in my mind's eye, when I reflect on going to see this movie in the theater originally and the various times that I've stopped in order to watch this on home video, to see it again with this sort of crystal clarity is just absolutely breathtaking. The colors are so vibrant and lush and beautiful. You can almost feel the pencil work. You can almost see the artist putting all of the background plates together and the animation beats and all the facial animation stuff and the hairs and the feathers, and it's just extraordinary. And the audio as well just completely enveloped me in the room, and to hear all of those wonderful songs again and the action and the adventure just pumping through this film. It's an absolute masterpiece. Such a wonderful, exhilarating experience.
I must have hit my head harder than I thought.
Now, of course, it stars Robin Williams as the Blue Genie, and he is peerless and unparalleled. What a performer, and what a gift he gave us with this role, which was tailor-made for him, and he had lots of different ideas, as you find out and discover when you go into the behind-the-scenes stuff.
I can't kill anybody.
Yeah, so don't ask.
What I was really appreciative of is because we get, lots of sort of visions into the early 90s Disney animation way of thinking. They were still kind of reinventing themselves as an animation studio. They had kind of lost their way a little bit and were having difficulty finding the huge sort of audience love that they had earlier on with some of their classics. And they were still kind of defining what modern day Disney animation was going to be. And of course they had big successes with The Little Mermaid, and they had big successes with Beauty and the Beast. But Aladdin was, you can see, was a bit of a risk. Definitely about a huge, massive movie star, bringing in some pop culture moments to classical hand-drawn style animation, but also fused with some really interesting CG elements like the magic carpet and some of the background stuff. It was really a coming together of a lot of, fantastic ideas and some interesting risks and some challenges. For example, Scott Wagner, who is the voice of Aladdin, was auditioning to also sing but didn't have the chops to do the songs. So they had to give another actor the opportunity to sing all of the songs, which was a bit deflating for this kid. But this was one of his first time. He was only 16 years old, so that's why he was so good as Aladdin. He was a young punk. And they actually have a great behind-the-scenes documentary. He sits down with Alan Menken, who is one of the composers, who also worked with the late and great Howard Ashman and Tim Rice to build all of the music. But they sit down at a piano and they sing one of the songs that was eventually cut from Aladdin. It's powerful. It's really powerful. And you can see the effect that Aladdin had on Scott Wagner over the years. He incorporates what it means to his family, and he has interactions with other cast members like Jonathan Freeman, who took on the role of Jafar and didn't let it go. He played Jafar on the television shows and video games and in all kinds of toys, and on stage. He actually is in the stage version of Aladdin, and they have a whole behind the scenes on the creation of the stage version of Aladdin, which I thought was completely fascinating as well. The documentary is just beautifully made, just beautifully shot and composed, and somebody that creates documentaries as well, it was just like, wow, this is really, really sharp stuff.
Let's make some magic!
So you get this really fantastic 360-degree view of the phenomenon that this animated classic was and then became, and how it's resonated over the years. But you also get these cool moments like Gilbert Gottfried, who plays the parrot Iago, interviewing different cast members and different animators and stuff, and he's completely crazy and off the cuff and super funny.
I can't take it anymore!
Now, some of these extras I actually discovered when I looked at the digital version of Aladdin, which is included. You get the Blu-ray version, you get the 4K version of the film, obviously, and then you also get a digital download code, and I looked at some of the extras on iTunes, and I was able to see some extra stuff that isn't included on the Blu-ray. All the extras are in HD, they're not in 4K. But there's some phenomenal stuff there, and some of it's super old and dated looking, but still very fascinating. There's lots of really nice work on the crafting of the music, Howard Ashman died during the making of Aladdin. He's really well honored in these behind-the-scenes documentaries. So is Robin Williams. In retrospect, there's not really interviews with Robin Williams. It's just a lot of shots of him doing his voice work. There's shots of the entire cast going back and forth doing all their voice work. Linda Larkin as Jasmine, and all of it is just so phenomenal.
Maybe I don't want to be a princess anymore.
One of my favorite pieces is when we get John Musker and Ron Clements, the two directors on the film, who also directed The Little Mermaid, going back and forth. You just get the sense of the years of these two working together and their camaraderie and their fraternity. Like, they're just two peas in a pod. They're finishing each other's sentences. They're making fun of each other. It's so heartwarming, and it's such a great celebration of collaborative creativity, as is this whole movie, as is this, this examination of the building of this film, and to watch it again and to see that they not just struck financial gold, but they also, it's like a creative zenith, This is something that is so aspirational. To be able to build a cinematic work of this caliber is just an inspiring thing.
Thanks, Genie.
It kind of feels like they rubbed a magic lamp and they made a wish and they pieced it together, but all of the elements clicked into place and they build a masterwork with Aladdin. And that's why it's so phenomenal to be able to appreciate it with the highest fidelity that we currently have with modern technology. And Disney's done a bang-up job retrofitting everything and getting everything together for the 4K era. It would be great to have more documentary stuff shot in 4K, and they could shoot a whole bunch of new stuff, but it's also fantastic to look at this archival material to celebrate it from that time period.
Made you look.
Fantastic work with this Disney. I'm going to give Aladdin, the animated classic in 4K on Blu-ray, gets a 10 out of 10.